Bosley Testosterone, by MassMoney.com, Gem Plumbing, and by Golf.
On Boston's home for sports, 98.5, the Sports Hub.
This is to center, and Rafaela is there. Red Sox win. A 1-2-3 ninth inning for Aroldis Chapman. Back-to-back nights now. The bullpen has been fantastic. Offensively, you've done enough. It's a swing from Narvaez, a swing from Devers, and you have now put two complete games together back-to-back, something this team hasn't done in a while. And now you go for the swing.
Yeah. Carrabis is going to chew me out for that. It is a Jared Carrabis Wednesday here on the Baseball Hour. Jared Carrabis presented by Blue Moonlight, a light and refreshing citrus wheat beer with only 95 calories, brewed with real tangerine peel for a subtle sweetness and smooth finish, just like Jared.
That's right.
Enjoy Blue Moonlight today, 617-779-0985, right here on the Baseball Hour. So you want to talk to Jared, you want to talk Red Sox, you want to examine what is right, what is wrong, and what is somewhere in between with the local 9, by all means, call us up here on the show. It's Jared's weekly visit. So, Jared, first of all, good to see you.
It's good to see you too, Tony.
So, I mentioned this to Jared before the show began, but I did not give him the specific data, which I'm now going to share with all of you. And that is that this is the 8th week of the year that Jared has been with us in 2025. And let me rephrase. I say 8th week. This is the 8th week of the season. There's actually been a day or two in there where we've moved you to another day.
Correct.
Or you were away for your father's 70th birthday, what have you. So you get the idea. But typically you come in every Wednesday, which means that the Red Sox most recent game was either on Tuesday night or that they were on the field on Wednesday while we were talking. Right, so typically it's like a 4 o'clock game or a 6 o'clock game, but you get the idea. So the point is that it would be through Tuesday's games every week. So you know what, Jared? Here's what I did. I went and looked at the Red Sox won-loss record on those Wednesdays to see whether or not there was any sort of pattern or what it would tell us.
What's the opposite of propaganda? Because I feel like that's what's coming right now.
The Felger and Maz show.
You know, that is propaganda. It's just a different kind of propaganda, Jimmy, is what I would say. So here's what I did. Again, I went to look at their won-loss record because the Red Sox, I did this earlier in the year with their record over the last 6 seasons. Because if you were to look at their record over the last 2 years, it's exactly 500. They were 81-81 last year, 25-25 this year. If you look at their record over the last 3 years, over the last 5 years, over the last 6 years, wherever you draw the line, it basically comes in within a couple of games of 500.
Yeah.
I mean, it's astonishing how consistently mediocre they have been. And I emphasize the word consistently because you know what baseball ultimately is?
What is it?
It's a measure of consistency.
That's right.
That's what it is.
The Red Sox are consistently mediocre.
So a guy like Rafael Devers is consistently good.
Yeah.
That's what makes him good. Same is true of Alex Bregman and any established major leaguer for the most part. What makes them good is the consistency, the ability to produce regularly over and over and over again. That's what makes them different. So anyway, on the first Wednesday of the season, the Red Sox were 1-4. Week 2, 6-6. Week 3, 9-10. Week 4, 14-11. Week 5, 17-14. Week 6, 18-19. Week 7, 22-22. Week 8, 25-25. What does that tell you, Jared Carrabis?
I feel like you're not trying to blame me for the Red Sox.
I'm not trying to blame you for anything.
Okay, all right. I'm just making sure I wouldn't have to swing on you over there in your little puffy vest. But
Okay.
I think the Red Sox are a consistently mediocre baseball team. I want to say coming into the Mets series, they were exactly 500 since winning the World Series in 2018.
Yep.
So it is a large sample. No matter how whatever sample size you want to pick out, they're going to be 500 or somewhere close to it.
Right. So isn't that alarming to you?
Yeah, it's been alarming for years.
So, but I mean this year especially. And I say this year especially because I think we all thought the pattern was going to end.
Sure.
So this is the part to me that when people say And look, we hear the argument a lot, Jared, right? It's early, season's early, except it's really not that early anymore.
They're almost a third of the way through.
Okay, 54 games is exactly a third of the way through. They've played 50. So they're right there. And again, here's what they've been on a weekly basis when you've come in here. 1-4, 6-6, 9-10, 14-11, 17-14, 18-19, 22-22, 25-25. Within 3 games of 500 every single time. 3 times they've been exactly 500. There's a 9-10 and an 18-19 in there. Within 1 game either way.
That 14-11 show, that must have been awesome.
Seriously, that was a hot week. And the next week was 17-14. But that means that they played 500 from week 4 to week 5 because they stayed at 3 over. They didn't really change much during that span. So I guess this is sort of my question for the fans out there and also to you. If you are one of these people that says it's early, they're going to be fine, the question is based on what? Like what do you have to hang your hat on when the team is basically 500 every week? When the team is basically 500 over the past 2 years, not basically, exactly.
They are. Yep.
Okay, so 81-25 is 106-106 in there since the start of last season, which honestly, Jared, is hard to do. To go 106-106, I'm not kidding.
I understand what you're saying. Yeah, I agree with you.
So you add it all up and you say they've changed the players. Pete Abraham wrote about this the other day. That I know, but just work with me. He's covered baseball a long time, and the point he made the other day was a good one.
That's a first.
When you look at it and you say that they're a 500 team over a long period of time, and they have to change something, what kinds of things on this team could you realistically change?
I think what you're about to do, and I'm going to do it, but you're leading me to almost agree with this man. Who I hate, by the way.
So, Jared, let me just tell you quickly, because I don't do the hate game.
Sure.
Don't think of it as agreeing with someone you hate. Think of it as...
Someone made a point, and I share the same sentiment.
Just think of it as a trying to solve the problem of the Red Sox.
That's what I'm doing right now.
It's not about an individual argument. It's about how do you fix this?
So there is that fire Alex Cora brigade out there. I think that they're dumb. Firing Alex Cora is not going to right the ship. However, I believe, what's his name? The guy that wrote the thing?
Oh, Pete Abraham.
Yeah. So I think he wrote something about putting Trevor Story at first base.
Or taking him out of the lineup.
Or taking him out of the lineup.
Yeah,
Both of those ideas I'm cool with. I think when you look at a guy like Christian Campbell, he's young, he's a rookie. Does it open up a door if he plays first base and you can put Marcelo Meyer at second base? Sure. Is that enticing to me? Yeah. But they're already messing with this guy, putting him in center field. Like, the path to first base is not through second base, then center field, and then first base. You're like, all this hype around Christian Campbell coming into the season was, if Roman Anthony doesn't get enough plate appearances, this is going to be the guy that wins Rookie of the Year. The first month was great. I believe he was Rookie of the Month for April. That award is probably going to end up going to another Red Sox rookie, Carlos Narvaez, the captain. But I look at this roster and I say, if Christian Campbell is going to be your second baseman of the future, he's not going to learn second base by playing first base. He's certainly not going to learn it by playing center field. Leave him at second base. If you need a first baseman, I think the irony of the Trevor Story situation is, if he's healthy, the Red Sox are going to be better. He's been healthy. He has not hit for a long time. It's actually been atrocious. It's not even just bad. Like, I didn't even know this. I didn't even know that a weighted runs created plus statistic could be negative, but it is. I thought it was just like, where you are in terms of the average comparative to the rest of the league. His weighted runs created plus is negative. That's how bad he's been. The defense has not been as good as what we thought it was going to be, or it has been in the past. I think he's been an excellent defender in the past. Right now, not very good. So if he's not playing elite defense and he's one of the worst hitters in baseball, like we're talking like a bottom 5 hitter in baseball, put him at first base, take him out of the lineup. You have players that you know are going to be better. And even if, for the sake of argument, there is an adjustment period, which I would expect there to be for Marcelo Meyer, I would rather watch Marcelo Meyer adjust to the big league level while struggling than watch Trevor Story struggle, knowing that this is probably just what it is, versus with Meyer on the other side of this struggle could be an all-star shortstop.
There's growth.
Yeah.
Right. In other words, there was sort of some lesson, or there's value to Meyer struggling, but there's none to Story struggling.
Yeah.
And so, look, Story's a problem. There's no question. The Red Sox are, again, they've had a good couple of nights, and I don't want to completely ignore that because I think winning games 3-1 and 2-0 is a good sign. That speaks to a lot of things. In the 3-1 game the other night, they had to actually knock in a couple of runs with outs. They had a ground out that knocked in one, and then Trevor Story actually basically was trying to make contact and hit the ball down the line.
Also, I don't want to pick on Trevor Story and say he's the only reason why the Red Sox are not a team that can get on any type of run. It's really just that he's a guy that is A, not performing well, but B, has a better option behind him. That's a natural fit. Like when we had the situation of Tristan Casas is done for the year, let's try Raffy over there. It's like, well, okay. Or let's put Roman Anthony there. Now you're trying to, put puzzle pieces where they don't exactly fit, and you're trying to just like jam them in there and hope that it works. At least with the Trevor Story situation, we have a shortstop, a top prospect, number 4 prospect in baseball shortstop. So there's a solution there. I think when you're trying to find spots for guys like Roman Anthony and so forth, or Rafael Devers in a defensive manner, like now you're trying to make things fit where they might not fit.
Okay. It's a good point on Story because Meyer had such a good spring that we all knew that this was going to come quickly, and it has. So 617-779-0985. We'll also get to the ejection of Walker Buehler, umpire Mike Estabrook, and that whole story last night. You have thoughts on that? We'll take those as well on the Baseball Hour. I was going to say this week, but this week's visit with Jared Carrabis.
Buehler. Buehler barking back at him, and Buehler's been ejected.
Walker Buehler was upset about the Lindor hit by pitch, and then more upset that a strike was not called on the stolen base, and he went after home plate umpire Mike Estabrook, and he's just been ejected from the game.
That ball's right down the middle. I didn't realize he called it a ball. He did. Buehler had a problem with it, but I'll say this. Walker, I know he's emotional. He's a veteran. He's been around. You can't get thrown out here.
He's like, what do you want? The ball's right down the middle.
I'll call the game. You throw the game.
With some added work.
Yeah, he said right down the something middle.
He dropped the bomb on him.
Yeah. Oh, dropped a double bomb.
The problem I have here with Estabrook, okay, like Walker Buehler said something to him when he's on the dirt, but when the mask comes off and you're very confrontational. Like Walker Buehler's been in the league a while. You know you missed the pitch. He has something to say for you from the rubber, that's fine. But when the mask comes off and you're aggressively coming at him, it's very combative and you're escalating.
Carlos Vasquez stands up to throw the runner out, blocks the umpire's view, pitches everyone.
Narvaez.
What did I say?
Vasquez.
I did. Sorry, Narvaez. The pitch was right down the middle, and everyone agrees that the pitch was a strike. Everyone.
Yeah.
The Mets broadcast, the Red Sox broadcast, when they show it was a strike. No
People
two
with
ways about
eyeballs.
it.
Yeah.
No two ways about it. Mike Estabrook called the pitch a ball. Walker Buehler gets upset. Quick ejection. Cora comes out. He gets tossed. So let me ask you quickly. Does Walker Buehler bear any of the responsibility?
Very small. I know that you feel differently, but in the sequence of events, Walker Buehler was on the mound. And he got it. It was like the pool reporter got the quote, the explanation from Laz Diaz, who was the crew chief, and he said he got ejected for arguing balls and strikes once he got to the grass. Walker Buehler did not get on the grass until Mike Estabrook took his mask off and walked out towards the mound, escalating the situation. So he baited him to walk towards him. By taking your mask off and walking out towards the mound, you are inviting and engaging in a conversation with the pitcher, who is then going to be like, "Oh, you want to have a discussion? I'm not going to stand here on the mound like that." How arrogant would that look if it's like, "Yeah, you want to talk, you come all the way out to me." He was kind of meeting him halfway and then ejected him for arguing balls and strikes when he wasn't on the mound. So he baited him into it. I don't think that he bears a ton of responsibility because A, he was right, and B, he was, what's the word?
Like tricked into it?
Yeah, that's the synonym.
Baited is the word you said a second ago, and I think that's fair.
Begins with a P, the word that I'm thinking of. Jimmy would know.
Okay, so here's what I'll tell you. Everything you said is true.
Yeah.
I'm not going to dispute that the umpire was an a-hole. You can't get thrown out of the game.
You blame him for that?
You can't get thrown out of the game. You can't.
But, I mean, if the umpire is coming towards you, that's like, hey.
Walk away.
You can't be the bigger man than the umpire. You have to be. The umpire has to be the bigger man.
The umpire's not going to be the bigger man. Umpires are a-holes.
Yeah, I don't know.
Many of them are a-holes. And so at the end of the day, here's what I'm getting at.
He antagonized him.
Did Walker Buehler show up at the ballpark to win a game or to argue with the umpire?
Both. And he did it.
So you can't get sucked into winning the argument with the umpire.
Yeah.
And the night before, they needed 4 1/3 from their bullpen. Then last night, because of his decision, they needed 6 2/3 from the bullpen. So he put them in a tough spot. Now, look, they won the game. I'm just telling you that I believe ultimately, you're not going to get the umpire to change his mind. It's not going to happen.
No.
So don't even fight it. Don't get sucked into that battle. Don't fight that battle.
I don't know that there's a pitcher on planet Earth that after they throw a strike, have it called a ball, and the umpire takes his mask off and walks towards him to discuss it, that they won't meet him halfway.
Okay, then all those pitchers are stupid.
Well, they're all going to get tossed the whole league, Tony.
So the way it's going to work, Jared, is if you get into an argument with the umpire, you're going to lose. You're going to lose.
But they won the game.
Okay, now the good news is that next year when they put in the challenge system, that Walker Buehler can just tap the top of his hat. Mm-hmm. They'll do a replay. It'll show it was a strike, and that's the end of it.
Sounds like you don't like that.
No, I do like it, actually. Right. I mean, I like it but I'm going to miss the confrontations.
Me too.
Because I think that's good stuff.
Agree.
And it's great entertainment value for the fan. Nobody loves a dispute like the fans do.
Mm-hmm.
So all of that's good. But Look, I got into an argument once years ago with a manager because his pitcher hit a guy. I'm going to spare you the details because it's too long to go and no one will care. Mm-hmm. But the pitcher hit a guy that, in retaliation. They threw him out of the game. I went to the manager and I said, what the hell is that?
Please tell me this was Joe Kerrigan.
And he said, no, it wasn't. He said at that time, hey, the togetherness of the team is an important thing. In the long run, that's more important. I said, well, do it tomorrow. Don't do it in the late innings. Win a game. So my objective is always on winning the game. But let's take a couple of calls. Ray and Revere. Ray, what do you got?
Yeah, I got 2 points on Devers, guys.
Just be quick, Ray.
First thing, I think John Henry's got feet of clay to come to the player and say, hey, we're all about winning, when he's been nowhere to be found at the trading deadline for a couple of years. These are my second point, guys. Are we going to see Meyer and Anthony anytime soon? Because I've seen enough of Trevor's Story, and Rafaela is a negative out there.
Okay.
Thanks, all.
Ray, thanks for the call. Start with the Henry meeting, because I don't think, have I had a chance to talk to you about that?
Yeah, I feel like we beat this thing into the ground. Like, I'm over it now. Like, if Rafi doesn't want to play first, I'm kind of over it. It doesn't send the best message or anything like that, but he's hitting the crap out of the ball, so I'm not over. If he wasn't hitting and contributing that way, then I have an issue with it. So I've kind of moved on from that. But in terms of Meyer, I think we just had that discussion. I don't want to say that if the Red Sox complete the sweep of the Mets that it's the worst thing that could happen. It's almost like if they got swept, they'd be like, man, we really... Because when they got swept by the Tigers, that's when I said, you have to shake things up. You have to do something now that's drastic, and we're talking about Story at first, or not a DFA, but putting him on the bench or something to have Meyer
some major move.
Have to do something like that. But listen, they have their ace on the hill, the chance to sweep at the time, first place Mets. They've since fallen out of first place. The Phillies have won 5 straight. The Mets have lost, I think, 3 straight now, going back to that Yankee series. But still a damn good team. It's a catch-22. Obviously, you want them to play well against good teams, but at the same time, if they had played poorly in this series, they really don't have much time left to make that drastic move. Because at some point, and that point is coming relatively quickly, you will reach a point of no return where your drastic move, your drastic change, it won't matter because you don't have enough time left for the change to actually
have an impact.
Yeah, sure. But yeah, I would still do it. Even it's almost like you're playing Mario Kart, which I know you probably played a ton of Mario Kart, Tony.
I have.
Like when you play that booster, when you use the shell.
Yep.
If you're already in first place, keep using those shells, keep using the boosters. So that's what they have to do. If they're playing well, it's not like you're going to disrupt anything if you add an even better player at a premier position.
Remember, I have 2 boys. Jared.
That's true. Oh, I don't know. I don't know how you're getting down in Nintendo 64. Are you doing that?
I played more Mario Kart than you know.
Okay.
Drew's in Boston. Drew, what do you got?
Hey, guys. So, Jared, this is almost more for you because I know Tony loves Cora, but in the last 50-plus years, we've had one manager who's managed at least a season and had a 500 or worse record. There's a second called Alex Cora. The first was Bobby Valentine. He was shit canned after a year.
Okay, you can't say that, Drew. Jimmy, drop that part. Okay, go ahead. Keep going. That's all right.
How does this guy possibly keep his job when the only other guy with the longevity he has had 2 World Series and a lot better finishes in Tito?
Okay,
it's insane. It's insane. What pictures does he have of Henry?
Put him on hold.
I let him go.
Oh, you let him go? Okay.
Yeah, well done call, though. He took a shot at me in the process, which is good. Go ahead.
He did. So, Drew, the answer to that question, and I'm not trying to be condescending, is if someone on Twitter the other day used this exact same thing. I was like, did you just compare Alex Cora to Bobby Valentine? Every player in that clubhouse wanted him gone. Every player in the clubhouse today would take a bullet for Alex Cora. That's the difference.
Even Tristan Casas?
Maybe.
Yeah. Oh, so I thought you said they would. No, it's a maybe.
Well, he's not in that clubhouse.
Okay.
So I didn't tell a lie, Tony.
Got it.
Yeah, checkmate. I think if you were to poll that clubhouse, he would have a universal 100% approval rating. That's where the difference lies between him and other managers that may not have overall had a better record. Because when you look back on these rosters, and you can attest to this, Tony, how many times have we sat in spring training or at the trade deadline being like, how do they not have this piece? How do they not have that piece? First base. We've been talking about first base for half a decade. Literally half a decade we've been talking about where's the first baseman? It's supposed to be Casas, it's not Casas. They didn't prepare for life after Casas. They didn't prepare for life before Casas because they were like, we have Casas coming, so we're going to put a third baseman at first base. I think it's not. I'm not saying Alex Cora is
exempt.
Yeah, he's not exempt from blame, but the roster construction. I mean, how many times has Cora sat up there and been like, the roster is the roster? What is he saying? The roster sucks. I got to do what I got to do with it.
Okay, that's in past years.
Yeah, but that's what he's talking about. He's talking about Cora's overall career managerial record as a Red Sox manager.
Okay, but let's keep it to 2025.
2025, he has no excuse.
Okay, they have the talent to be better than they are.
Agreed.
Right.
It's not that he has no excuse, but it definitely falls on. He can't sit up there and say the roster is the roster because he got a better roster in 2025 than he probably has had since 2021. We can pick apart 23 through 24. Like, those were imperfect, subpar, low effort put together rosters. This year, how many people, myself included, said this is a playoff team? So if they continue to play 500 baseball, there's not really a huge excuse. And with Tristan Casas being the guy that is done for the year from an injury standpoint, he wasn't bringing anything to the table. He was actually a detriment to your team before he went down. So not an excuse that you lost him. So this would be the first year where you could be like, it's not
Definitely.
the roster, it's the roster.
Yeah,
you know?
definitely.
You got it. You have what many interpreted to be a playoff roster coming into the season.
So look, just so the stance is clear. Cora's not getting fired.
No,
he's in year one of a 3-year deal.
He's in week 8 of a 3-year deal.
Exactly, even better. So he's not going to get fired, and I know a lot of people want that. My only point was this, and I said this earlier in the week. This scenario is the kind of scenario where a manager would get fired. Okay?
Brandon Hyde.
So, exactly.
Manager of the year 2 years ago.
So now it's not going to happen with him, but that doesn't mean the situation isn't worthy of it.
Much worse situation the Orioles are in than the Red Sox.
So, and I agree with that, but I would also tell you that the Red Sox have been sub 500 now combined for the last 3+ seasons. 4 if you count this one. And Cora's been the manager of all those teams. This year he has a good roster, and they still look like the same team making the same mistakes. So under normal circumstances, you would look at it and say the manager could be in trouble. In this case, it's not going to happen because he just got his deal. Kevin Majori's Get Your Headlines. Don't go anywhere. When we come back, more with Carrabis.
chicken.
So, I'm just telling you, but you jumbled the names up. There was somebody that who the hell did I, there was someone recently that I like every time I talk about Cody Bellinger, I want to call him Clay Bellinger.
Because of his dad.
Right.
Yeah.
So there's that.
So maybe you're not a spring chicken. I think.
So, it's stuff like that. You make mistakes like that. Or you call a guy a name from, another sport. Like, you'll say the Mr. October for the Yankees, Deshaun Jackson, when you meant Reggie.
I would never do that.
No, well, Reggie, I wouldn't get wrong either, but you know the idea. Same. Anyway, we got a bunch of callers on the line. Max in Worcester kicks us off. Go ahead, Max.
Hey, guys. So I want to talk a little bit about the undisciplined team that the Red Sox are. And I think it's Cora's fault, right? He's in charge of strategy. He's supposed to talk to the guys. Like Carrabis, I can't believe this. The guys love him. They take a bullet for him. Frankly, I don't care. We're 31% of the way through the season, and this team's striking out 10 times a game, and sometimes it's 14 or 15. It's a terrible watch, and Cora is the problem, right? He's got to get through to these guys and say, listen, the strikeouts are an abomination, and then Maz, can Whitlock go back to being a starter? Is that the answer here? Because Houck obviously is a fraud.
Hell is that take?
So, Max, just quickly on Whitlock.
Oh, you were doing so good. Because I agreed with them. And then Whitlock, I'm like, oh, my God. That's a Milliken take.
Well, the other thing is Whitlock can't last as a starter. Like, he's got to be in the bullpen.
Can't last as a reliever either.
But the lineup, is that fair to put that on Cora?
No, that's a Pete Fatsy thing. I think if you're the hitting coach, you develop the philosophy. If you watch the Red Sox documentary, like Andrew Bailey is very hands-on with all the pitchers. He comes up with the plans and he's showing them in between innings. And I'm not, I think Cora would sit here and tell you, yeah, it's on me. Like, it starts at the top. If I'm the manager, then yeah, sure, blame me. But it's definitely a collective thing. The hitting. I think what fans need to understand is they're not sitting there in meetings being like, you guys go out there and strike out. Like, that's not like, it's not like they're sitting there saying it's okay to strike out. We want you to, the high strikeout totals are great. They're seeing that, I think whatever the stat was, I don't know what it is updated, but their record this season when they strike out 10 or more times is horrendous. And they're, whatever it is, 11 games over 500 when they strike out less than 10 times. They know that the strikeouts are bad and that they need to avoid doing that. Hitting a baseball is hard. I think it's much easier said than done. Hey, stop striking out as much. When you start looking at individual guys, the Rafaelas of the world, the free swingers like Trevor Story, that's where you start to run into problems. But I think for the most part, at least the guys that you depend on, the on-base guys, the Bregmans, the Devers, the Wilyer Abreu's, those guys have a better approach. But the guys that we're talking about that strike out a ton, we just had a conversation about putting one of them on the bench. And if Roman Anthony comes up, then the other guy, Rafaela, I'm not saying, because he's made a strong case for himself to stick around recently, 2-3 weeks. But again, that's one of the guys that we're saying that guy might be the odd man out when Roman Anthony comes up. So when I look at the strikeout problem, it's kind of condensed to a third of the lineup. It's not the whole lineup.
It's also the kind of thing that a player is who he is. When it comes to that particular thing, look at the history of guys who strike out a lot. They always have. Do you think they were trying to? Like, that's not a manager thing. So, and everybody thinks, oh, the manager's going to hit. What do you think this is, freaking Little League? You're teaching them how to hit? There are guys who strike out a lot. There always have been. There always will be. Now, the analysts are just okay with it. That's the difference. They're willing to trade more strikeouts for home runs and extra base hits. They've completely devalued batting average, which is stupid. Carl and Grafton. Carl, go ahead.
You make your point really well, Maz. I agree with you 100%, like, the Milwaukee Buehler thing and everything, but I feel like, Jared's point is valid. The Red Sox really have to keep it up because, like, the Yankees are starting to figure it out. The Red Sox are, second now? I just think if they don't play better than 500, they'll never have a chance to even catch up or stay in the wild card. I'll listen to hear what you guys have to say.
Listen, Carl, I'm not going to argue with that point. Does anyone think they have to stay at 500?
I like it here. I'm comfortable.
I'm ready for a major shakeup here. I'd put Story's ass on the bench. They won't release him because there's too much money there. They won't. So
they got out from under the Sandoval thing, but that was also an abomination. That was like, we hate this guy, get out of here. You're absolutely a net negative for the team. They love Trevor Story. So that's the hard sell is how do you make the team better if there's a clear upgrade with Marcelo Meyer at shortstop or what have you. If you're going to move him to first base, or you're going to take him out of the lineup entirely, you're going to designate him for assignment, that will have some sort of a ripple effect in the clubhouse. But also, I think that losing has consequences.
But just quickly, I was just going to say, isn't that the point?
Sure.
You want it to have consequences in the clubhouse?
Losing has to have consequences, like Paul Heyman says.
Yeah, so that's the whole point, is you got to make an example of a guy who's a veteran player. You can't just let him keep playing when they don't produce. Again, just because you mentioned it, the numbers on Story, in his last 24 games, he's hitting 135 with an OPS of 361. 361 with 34 strikeouts, 5 walks, and 13 hits, 12 of which are singles. He has 1 extra base hit in his last 24 games. And you know why? Because everybody knows that he can't hit a fastball anymore. That's why. John in Watertown. Go ahead, John.
Okay, real quick, a couple quick questions. Which one of the starting outfielders is going to be traded so Anthony can come up? And are we sure that Campbell can hit big league pitching? He cannot hit lefties at all, and he's batting 100 in the month of May. And maybe he needs to go back down and recover because the book is out on him on the slurves and sleeper pitches there, the sweeper pitches.
I disagree with you, John. I think he can hit a breaking ball. What was the first question? How did they get Anthony into the lineup? Which outfielder goes?
It was Rafaela, but he's performed really well. I don't know what you do there because Willier's one of your best hitters.
Yeah, you're not messing with him.
Yeah, Duran is. He is who he is. He was one of the top performers on the team last year. Hasn't had a great start to this year, but you're not like, what are you going to do? You're going to bench Duran? Like, you're not going to do that. So I'm not sure what they do. But they certainly don't seem like they're in a hurry to do it. I don't know. Is it still crazy for me to be like, yeah, I think like Rafaela is still the guy?
He is the guy.
Yeah.
I'm with you. He is the guy. And again, you could put him on the bench. You could bring him in for defense late. You could use him in a different way. He's already got a contract. So, they didn't have to do that. They were stupid to do it, but it's not debilitating money.
He can still be a good player, which he is, but he's just not. He's still the odd man. Like, if you were to power rank the 4, including Roman Anthony, he's 4th.
Right. And you're a better team with Roman Anthony in the lineup and Duran in center. Sean in Colorado. Sean, go ahead.
Tony, super fan. I wanted to talk today a little about the captain, Carlos Narvaez. I think his production that he's added to the lineup has been absolutely massive for this team. It plugs one of the biggest holes this team had coming into the year. And while I don't know how sustainable this is, do you guys see Carlos Narvaez as a long-term building block of the future beyond just this year, going throughout this hopeful window that we have?
Sean, good question. What do you think, Jared?
So I don't know why I just thought of this name as the comparison, but I remember in 2006, the Red Sox brought in Mark Loretta, and he was an all-star second baseman. And it was like, this is nice. It's nice to have, but he's a little bit older. Like, this is not a long-term solution. Carlos Narvaez is a rookie. So absolutely it could be, I don't think it's a flash in the pan. And even if his offense, even if he's overperforming offensively, the defense that he brings to the table, you're talking about a number 1, number 2 defensive catcher in the league. So, yeah, I think the Red Sox struck gold with him. He's also a super great guy from all the interviews that I've watched of his. It's not something where I would be at his locker tomorrow with an 8-year contract extension. But, yeah, I would say that moving forward, that's the guy that I'm giving the most plate appearances to, is from a catching standpoint.
Yeah, look, he's been one of the best stories on the team, maybe the best. And it feels like they absolutely fleeced the Yankees on that. Let's see what happens with Narvaez.
Rookie of the month.
I liked him as a receiver when I first saw him in spring training. Now, the offense is gravy, but some catchers mature late. Jason Varitek didn't really become a starter till he was 27.
Yeah. How old is Narvaez? Like 25?
26.
26?
Yeah, Double D in Whitensville. Go ahead, Double D.
Hey, Tony, how are you? Double D. Yeah, hey, listen, I wanted to pipe in. I wanted to pipe in at noontime with Beetle. I was very, very upset about Beetle ranking on Alex Cora for taking his daughter's graduation day off. That's BS. He has kids. He knows what it's about. That anyway. But Cora's a good manager. Here's the thing. We gotta bring up a couple more of these kids. That's it. I think that's the thing that's going to spark this team, and that's all I got to say.
Yeah. So listen, a lot of people feel like you do. That especially if you're going to be 500, bring up the young guys. Otherwise, what's the point? If you're going to just spin the wheels, and in this case, the young guys can probably help you get better. Jared, why aren't they doing it yet? This would be my final question to you, in all seriousness. Mm-hmm. What are they delaying it for? Are they trying to manipulate the rules to get draft picks in future years, that if they bring up Meyer and Anthony and they qualify as rookies in 26 and 27, they get more draft picks? Like, what is the logic here?
It's that, and I think, Milliken, if you're listening, correct me if I'm wrong. If Roman Anthony wins Rookie of the Year, then you lose a year of service time. So he can hit free agency a whole year sooner.
Correct.
So
that is correct.
Yeah, and of the guys, of the big three, Milliken again was trying to beat the drum of he's going to be the most difficult to sign to a long-term contract. So, I mean, Campbell looked like he was ready to sign the second that he made the big league roster. He signed a very team-friendly deal that we discussed when it happened. But it sounds like Roman is open to talk, but that he's going to be on the more difficult side to get something done. So I think they're probably looking at it as we would rather have 6 guaranteed years than 5. And that makes sense if he is as great as they say he is, which every metric would tell you that he is, at least offensively.
It blows me away. Again, the urgency to win now just doesn't exist there anymore. That's the part that has me worried.
It sucks.
One of the things that has me worried. So, Jared, listen, as always, thank you.
Thank you, Tony.
Okay, Jared Carrabis of Underdog Sports, Underdog Fantasy, brought to you by
Blue Moon.
Blue Moon Belgian Ale.
That's right.
Belgian White, I believe, right?
Belgian White.
There you go. Don't go anywhere. Headlines coming up shortly with Kevin Majori. Joe Murray has you for the rest of the night. We'll catch you tomorrow.
The Baseball Hour with Tony Mass.
Visit the 99 Restaurant